Welcome to Come Favorite number 2. This video will be titled Teacher on Administrative Leave Twice for Racist Stuff Omega, which means this should be the final video that I will make on this subject unless I get interrupted yet again. So earlier today, no, not today, yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and I meant to put on a video about it, but it slipped my mind. I did post it on my Facebook page, and everything went to hell from there because I lost it and I couldn't bring it back up. So I made a video about this earlier, and I meant to do it the day that I got this, but this happened sometime earlier this week, or last week since it's Sunday. So there's a teacher somewhere in California who is a Donald Trump supporter. Freeze. I'm not judging her. That's not here or there in this video, but it has a big factor in the video. If you see video 1 of this, I read the whole article. It was hard to get through, and it was about her wanting to bring back slavery and how she talked to Hispanic kids, Mexican kids, and black kids and used racial slurs. And all these kids they interviewed, from Gonzalez to Martinez, were the age of 13. Alright? And that's a lot of pressure for a person who is of color to hear a teacher in which our parents send us to school to learn, and have a teacher, even though this teacher does support Donald Trump and all that, she starts doing racist slurs to these kids. And this teacher was put on administrative leave one time before for the same shit. I don't understand how this teacher still has a job. Well, here in Virginia, we don't play that crap, and it's a right to fire you state. And trust me, I know I've been fired from a few jobs for next to nothing. In this world in which we live, if you are a good worker, but you decide to go up on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or MySpace and post some of your off-time pictures, your bosses all get a raw hair up their ass and decide, okay, well, you're not what we want representing our company, so you get the finger. Not only do you get 1, you get 2, because not only are we firing you, we're going to cause all kinds of hell so that you can't get a job doing what you do for the next time that you go around. Now, in all seriousness, I think that that is a load of shit. I think that when I'm off from a job, I have every right to do what I want, because my job has nothing to do with my personal life. I'm not going to live my life in a box because I want to keep my job. And I think that any good lawyer should be able to sue a person who gets fired for posting a sexy or a raunchiest picture on Facebook because you don't represent the company in your off time. Like, that's like, your job's not what you do when you get home. You work your job so you can pay for your home. You work your job so you can pay your rent. You do not work your job so that they can tell you when you go home, it's okay if you dress in dresses to your ankles, corset, and no thongs, no negligee, no nighties, no bras. And if you're a dude, it's okay if you have boxer briefs on, but it can't have the flap because, you know, things happen and it might find its way out the flap, which is why personally I don't wear those ones with the flap. But you get what I'm saying. I can't post me in swim trunks. I can't post me in my Calvin Klein underwear that I bought. You know, not that I can afford Calvin Klein. But you get the point. That has nothing to do with me and my ability to do my job successfully. But many of people have been fired from that since before the internet. Just think about the police officer who was a centerfold that got fired from being a police officer because she was a Playboy magazine model. They made a movie about it. Nowadays, a good lawyer, you can own people for firing you for shit that has nothing to do with your job. Moving on, because this has everything to do with this lady's job. And I am highly appalled that this woman can still have a job after this shit that I'm about to tell you. In the other video, I talk about how she has Donald Trump paraphernalia. She has a MAGA hat and Donald Trump posters, and talked about the border wall, and talked about how all the Mexicans, Hispanics, and black kids in her classroom are all on welfare and taking white people's money and jobs. Now that Donald Trump thing, give a flying fuck about that. You are a grown woman working with 13-year-old kids, and you're calling them racial names. You're telling them that they're on welfare when you have no fucking idea if they're on welfare or not. And more importantly, they're 13-year-old kids, and you're calling them racial names. So my real question is, what the hell is wrong with the superintendents of the school? What the hell is wrong with the principals? How does this woman still have a job? If I had a 13-year-old kid and that kid came home to me and said, Dad, my teacher called me a half-breed. I know we have the right for freedom of speech, but there's a limit to freedom of speech. I know we have the right to bear arms. There's a limit to that. But when you are putting a child in danger, there is no limit to that. When you are making a kid feel like they shouldn't exist because no one, and I don't give a damn if you're black, white, Asian, or whatever the hell spectrum you want to call yourself, you don't get to pick who you are or what gender you are when you're born. You don't get that option. If you're born into a white family, it can be a poor white family, it can be a rich white family. If you're born into an Asian family, it can be a rich Asian family, it can be a poor Asian family. If you're born into a black family, it can be a poor black family or a moderately middle-class black family. Notice I did not say a rich black family because I haven't met too many people who are black who are rich. I've met some who are well off, but not mega rich. Okay? Now, if you're born into a black family of privilege, cha-ching, you just got a double score. But what you need to be taught by your black family of privilege is that other people will see you as a black person, and they're going to view you the same way they view poor black people or middle-class black people. And no matter how elegant you speak, and no matter how elegant you carry yourself, some people are just going to view you with eyesight only. I'm two-toned. Now, here's the thing. I'm multicultural. I'm Cherokee Indian, I'm black, and I'm white, and I have no right to be a racist. But I'm about to say some serious racist shit. So, if you're racially sensitive, now's the time for you to stop watching this video and go watch some of my Kung Fu videos or my horrible ass singing Toodaloo. So you stick around. Okay, so if you're here, then you're here and you know that this video is about to get serious. I'm about to get tough, and I'm about to go all the way against the grain, and I'm going to talk about things that I can't stand. Alright? I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to keep going with the flow. I'm going to loosen up my belt. I'm going to be tongue-in-cheeky with you. Alright? I'm going to do my best to not swear. But in this situation, it's kind of hard not to swear. And if you go watch video 1, you will understand why I am flipping the hell out. Alright? 2 things. When I was younger, when I was a child, before I knew that I was mixed, I just thought I was black, and I got lucky, and I got blessed with curly hair. Because knowing that you were mixed wasn't really a thing. Until people point that shit out to you, all you know as a child is what God has put into you. You know that this little girl is your friend. You know that little boy is your friend. You guys are all going to play in the sandbox together. There's not going to be any racial or gender problems. Until you probably hit 12 or 13, maybe 10 or 11, where you start picking on girls because they're girls. It's like, you can't do that because you're a girl. It's not a girl thing. And girls are saying, well, you can't do that because you're a boy. It's not for boys. You feel where I'm going with that. Everyone's been there. Everyone's been there. Everyone's been there. You have been the girl who can't play with the boys even though you're far better at kicking a ball than them or hitting a ball or making the shot. You're way better. But because of your gender, they don't want nothing to do with you. Even though you can break their ankles and shit. But because you're a girl, we don't want you on the court. Go play with Barbies. Go do your hair and makeup. That might not be your thing. You might be one of those tomboys that likes to elbow guys in the face and shit. My kind of chick. You might not be one of those, I'm going to get my lipstick and get all prim and pretty. You might not be into that shit. Not all girls are. And it's just like guys. Some guys are just like GQ smooth. Not this guy. I'm just happy to have clothes on. I don't really give a flying frack about fashion. I know you're all thinking, you're not on topic. Oh, I'm perfectly on topic. Just pay attention. So as I was growing up, it wasn't until the fifth grade where I found out that I wasn't biracial. I was multicultural because my dad's mom is actually Cherokee Indian, and her mom before her is Cherokee Indian. But at least that's what we were told. I'm gonna take a DNA test to figure all that shit out. My mom's mom is black and Cherokee, or she's Cherokee Indian. We don't really know because she's never had black people hair. Her mom, on the other hand, we never met. Her adoptive mom, on the other hand, our grandma Sarah, we have met. So, therefore, now, my grandfather on my father's side was completely black. As far as we know, he was completely black. That's all we know. He was dark. My dad has black skin. My dad's passed, but he looked more black than Native American. Alright? All of my aunts on my dad's side, they all look black. They have Native American features. Some have lighter tones. Some are not as light as this, but they have lighter tones. Now, on my mom's side, my mom's dad, one of his ancestors was white. Whether it be his father or his mother, one of them was white. So if your last name is Rose and you live in Nelson County and you're white, we might be kin to each other. Anyway, that being said, he was 3 times lighter than this. And if you see my mom on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, you'll see why. It wasn't until the 5th grade I found out I was Native American. And then the racial jokes only got worse from there. See, before the 5th grade it was, you're not a real nigger, you're a half nigger. That was from black people. You're not a real white guy, you're a half white guy. And that eventually would become, you're not a real honky or a cracker, you're a half cracker. And then there was, you not Wonder Bread, you wheat bread. And for the black people it was like, you not even that. You ain't white bread or wheat bread, your ass is toast. Nowadays when you tell people they're toast, that's fighting words. Because that's what it wound up becoming. Oh, dude, you're toast. And that came off of TV. So, you have to adapt and you have to adjust. But never, and I mean never, as long as I've been breathing, has any of that crap came from teachers. Now, I will have a teacher who had pointed it out, and thank you, Miss Conrad, wherever you are. And I thank her every time I mention her because I learned so much more about my heritage thanks to her. But she didn't do it in an evil way. She did it in a way that made sense for a 5th grader. She's like, and it also got me an ass whooping. Lots of ass whoopings. So Miss Conrad would talk to us. We had Native American history. And back in these days, the late 80s, middle 80s, early 80s, whenever I was in the 5th grade, I know it was in 80s, I think like 84, 85. Whenever the hell the Challenger blew up, I was in the 5th grade. Or the 4th grade. But I know in the 5th grade specifically, this is how our school system worked. Black History Month, Chinese New Year, and Native American history were all in February. Native American history was the first week of February. So, if you had 28 days in February, I guarantee you had 5 and only 5 days of Native American stuff, which is what led to that ass whooping. Then you had to dabble between that and Black History Month, which is only 28 days, so that was kind of fucked up, but that's what it was. And then you had Chinese New Year. Since we didn't have any Chinese kids in our school, we had a couple of kids from Vietnam, but in America it's hard to tell Asians apart. Even back then, I can only tell Asians apart by last names, and most of the time, Chinese and Japanese and Korean, I don't know any Indonesian last names. I don't know any Malaysian last names. I don't know any Filipino last names. Okay? And most of the Filipino last names are going to be Spanish because of the conquering that Spain has. And what you guys also fail to understand, that most of the Native Americans in South America have Spanish last names because Cortez conquered more than the bulk of South America. Same thing with like North America. If you are Native American and you were not on the reservation and you took a white person's name and came off the reservation to live in society, you get a white person's name. That's why my great-grandmother's name was Ada Wallace. And then she became Ada Ford. And then she had my grandmother Bay, whose name was Clara Bay Ford. You feel where I'm going with this? Alright? I think Clara Bay Ford's dad was James Ford, but not the car maker. Would be great if it was, though, because then I want to collect some inheritance money, but yeah, that's not gonna happen. But anyway, so James has been a popular name on both sides of my family, which is why that shit dies with me. So I did that so I could see myself talk. So when I was taught about that, somewhere along the line I forgot that Native Americans were Asian. And that's all Native American tribes. Not just some, all of them. Moving on to the point at hand. Miss Conrad was a teacher who exploited us, but not destroyed us. Understand? This teacher straight called kids of Hispanic descent racial slurs. So I can see little 13-year-old boys and girls going into her class. Hello, Mr. Gonzalez, you go sit over there, you slope. Hello, Miss Martinez, you go sit over there, you wetback. I can actually see this happening. I can't say that it happened because I wasn't there. But to have a 13-year-old girl, another 13-year-old girl, and a 13-year-old boy say that this chick's doing this. And not only did they put her on administrative leave once, but they did it twice. How the hell does she still have a job? That's what I want to know. How does she still have a job? And I'm going to get racist right now. Because I can almost guarantee you, if this teacher was Asian or black, her ass would be out on her back. Straight up and down. They would have fired her ass quick, fast, in a hurry. Then you wouldn't have been on administrative leave the first time. And if you're a teacher of color and you would have said that shit to these kids, your ass been gone. And then the part that really hurts my feelings is that the lady said she wanted to bring back slavery. Sorry. Not black slavery, but back slavery. And here's the thing, before I go any further with that. For everyone in this video who has no idea if you're watching this, let's be 1,000% correct. Because, your high school and your grade school and your middle school education is taught by a policy in which we block 75% of the truth and you get 25% of the truth. What you are not taught in school, they mention it, but they don't really teach it. White people had slaves too. Not just black slaves, they had white slaves. They were called indentured service. They touch on it, but they don't really go into detail. So not all white people are from slave owners. Some of them are from slaves. So stop hating on white people for slavery when some of the white people had white slaves. Alright? Again, they were called indentured servants. Some of the Asians had slaves. Some of the Native Americans had slaves. Everybody that had some damn slaves. And some of those slaves were Native American, some of those slaves were Chinese, and some of those slaves were white. Now, as far as I know, only white people had white slaves, but they also had black slaves. I think Native Americans only had Native American slaves. I can't swear if they had black slaves, but I do know that they did have the Rainbow Coalition, who were a tribe of Native Americans who took in black people, and the tribe mostly became of black people. I'm probably saying that wrong. However, you guys can go fact check that part. But everyone has had slaves. Everyone has been slaves. Blacks, whites, Asians, they've all been slaves. Now, in the cases of China, when they first started bringing in China here, they had the celestial brides, who were basically slaves. So for those who don't understand what the hell that means, a celestial bride was a woman who was Chinese, who married a European to get to America. And then according to the agreement for the celestial bride, she either had to father or mother some children. I don't know why I say father children, but she had to mother some children from the European guy, or she had to stay married to him for like 7 years or whatever during the immigration process. And if she didn't provide him with a child, which most of them did because they were fucking raped, they were, put into these places, and if they didn't do what they were told, they were executed. And it's the same thing with the railroads. When they made the Native Americans and the Chinese built the railroads, from East Coast to West Coast. I think it might have started from West Coast to East Coast after the whole Sacagawea thing. But the point of the matter is that they all had slaves. Alright? So when you read your history book and they start giving you black history and you look over at your white friend and you're like, I'm going to choke this motherfucker. And don't think that it has not happened. Don't think that there has not been people who have looked at white people after being taught black history in class, and in my generation specifically, that they have not said that they wanted to choke their white friends. And I, on the other hand, have always looked at them as like, well, if anything, if it wasn't for slavery, I probably wouldn't exist. Because I'm multicultural. Probably a couple of my ancestors were probably products of rape, and that's like not a hard pill to swallow. That's just a fucking fact because a lot of men who took their African slaves raped their African slaves. That's why you weren't allowed to have relationships. That's why you were sold into other slaveries. They'd have the baby to keep the baby, be a houseboy or a house girl, and they would try to do everything they could to make sure that their child was not sold into slavery. History's a lying pack of crap, and when you start learning more about history, you start learning the truth, and then you feel things. And history, I'm sorry, when you're teaching American history, you're teaching Black history specific in February, it teaches you how to be racist. It really does. It makes you fucking racist. It teaches young Black kids to hate young white kids, and it teaches Asian kids that they want to just not be around, period. But the thing is, I got on that because this lady, whoever she is calling kids racial derivatives and still has a job. How does she still have a job? I mean, it's okay that she has Donald Trump paraphernalia. It's okay that she has a MAGA mug and a MAGA hat. That's not relevant. What is relevant, the fact that she has a job after telling kids who are Black and Hispanic and Mexican, there is a difference. It's not a big difference, but there's a difference, that she wants to bring back slavery. Can you imagine the horror on those kids' faces, the 13-year-old Black kids, looking at this broad like, this bitch is fucking crazy. There's no one in America of color that's gonna let that fucking shit happen. No one. If the president ordered slavery to happen tomorrow, I can almost guarantee you this country would burn itself to the ground. Because everybody who is Black will definitely stand up and be against that shit. Everybody who's white who knows Black people will definitely stand up and fight that shit. And it'll be a second civil war with very bad results. Because what's going to happen is we're all going to blow each other to hell, and America will be ripe for the picking. Everybody who's not involved in that shit will be the survivors, and then they're going to be like The Walking Dead and hunt each other down into the death, and that's exactly what would happen. Now, I point that out to you because when I was a kid, the last thing I ever wanted to hear was somebody say anything about slavery to begin with, and then to have a teacher, which you go to school, you spend 8 hours a day in school, you spend 225 days, I think, in school, unless you are living in Asia where you go to school year round and you don't get out except for like, so many weeks a month. You get like certain months where you get at least 2 weeks off and you get to go home or whatever. And I guess it really depends on the school system. I don't know how their public school system works because I don't live in China. But from what I was told, most of their schools, you don't really live at the school unless you go to like the expensive private schools, but like the government funded schools, you're there every day. And part of their school system is that all of the students clean at a certain time of day in the school. That's why when you see videos of kids running across with the rag on the floor with their asses in the air and they're coming back, when they're like going 2 up and 1 down and then they do it again, it's because that's their fucking requirement. Don't ask. I'm not Asian enough to know how that works, and I don't live there. But I have seen the videos, And then in certain schools in China, Kung Fu is required. It literally is required. So, therefore, everything is different in different countries. But for the most part, when you sit there and you're a 13-year-old boy, a 13-year-old girl, you're just learning who you are. And your teacher looks at you because your skin tone is brown, and she wants to take you down by telling you, you're Black and you're on welfare. You're a Mexican and you're on welfare. You're Hispanic and you're on welfare. Your parents, we need the big border wall, and your parents are taking all of our white money and our white jobs. But you got on administrative leave for that. the very first time. You get a week off of school, and you come back and go right back at it. I mean, stupidity does have a cutoff point. It really has a cutoff point. And this woman still has a job. She's on administrative leave. It just bewilders me how the fuck this happens. And I'm thinking to myself, first off, who's signing her checks? Second off, okay, let's leave the Donald Trump, the MAGA, and the border wall shit the fuck out. The fact that this woman would have the audacity to say she wants to bring I cannot talk today. She wants to bring back slavery. She doesn't know that they were white slaves, clearly. She doesn't know that they were Asian slaves, clearly. She just knows that they were black slaves. So she wants to bring black slavery back. She wants to bring back slavery on a new level, and I can tell you right now, this woman ain't destined for this world very long, because she's going to cross paths with the wrong person. One of these kids' parents are going to get really upset, and they may find her sock partying aisle 5 in a Walmart store and might throw this broad a beating. I'm not suggesting they do that, but the thing is, for a teacher to look kids in the face and tell them, you, and you, you're all Hispanic. You're all on fucking welfare. You, and you, and you, and you, back there in the back, darkest kid in the room, yeah, you. You guys are poor black trash, and you're on welfare. And your parents, because they're black, they're taking our white jobs and our white money. And she obviously hasn't done the research. There's just as many white people on welfare as there is blacks. And I think Asians are like the lowest on the welfare totem pole. I don't think that many Asians are actually taking on welfare, because a lot of them are immigrating over here, and immigrants get like a special tax cutoff or some shit like that. I don't know how that shit works. But it allows, and they get special loans, which allows them to open up their own businesses and shit like that. And that also works for Hispanics, But the thing with that is, blacks don't qualify. Simple as that. I can't go to a loan company tomorrow and say, look, I want to open up 2 martial arts schools, one in Virginia, one in California. I am a black man. How much are you willing to do this? And they'll be like, well, how much do you think you can pay us back within a year? Hell no, I can't pay you back within a year, because I'm going to have expenses. I'm going to need weapons. I'm going to be needing to travel to both the California school and the Virginia school. I may be able to pay you back half of it in 3 to 5, depending on if I can find people who can run my dojo when I'm in Virginia. I want someone running that dojo in California. If I'm in California, I want someone running that dojo when I'm in Virginia. That just came out wrong. When I'm in Virginia, I want someone running the dojo in California. I want the dojos to be open at all times. If I'm in California, I want someone here in Virginia running my dojo, because I can't be in 2 places at once, because I am not a twin. But if I had a twin, that's how that shit would work. He could have Virginia. I'll take California. The problem with that is, we don't have enough black people who own enough black banks who are willing to bank on a black person. You see where that's going? That was total reverse racism. And it will get you thinking, why are you bringing this shit up, James? Because it has nothing to do with the topic of the lady being on administrative leave twice for the same breach. It's bullshit. It has everything to do with that. Because, white people look out for white people, Asian people look out for Asian people, blacks are the only ones in the whole conundrum of that don't look out for black people. Now, the subject at hand was, there's a white lady who's called all these black kids, Hispanic kids, and Mexican kids welfare recipients and by racial slurs. And yet, she still has a job. I fail to understand how she still has a job. I have been fired, and this is important. See how much time we have. Okay, I'm going to make another part, because this is 30 minutes, so we'll start with I have been fired.